Thrash, more like trash, am I right? So I just watched the new Netflix film Thrash, written and directed by Tommy Wirkola, whose most recent credits also include Violent Night, a decent enough looking take on the whole Santa Claus is like a gruff guy who's gonna save the day, and Spermageddon. No comment on that. So I first heard about this film when my mom was just sort of browsing the upcoming releases on Netflix, saw this and thought, "Oh, that looks like a trashy looking movie that could be fun to laugh at." Saw the trailer myself, was like, "Yeah, that does look like a trashy film that could be fun to laugh at." And it was indeed a trashy film that was fun to laugh at. So you pretty much get whatever you expect this film to be based on the trailer. I guess so. I'll go ahead and give the few positives I have for this film because I do actually have some positives for this. Digimon Hausen, I believe is his last name, still is in this film, and he still tries his best to like elevate the material. He doesn't just sleepwalk through this; he clocks into work. There are some cool looking shots where the camera follows something moving in the water. Like there'll be a truck that's sort of like moving as the flood's going, and the camera will like follow it as it goes along. Those were pretty cool whenever that happened. There's a kind of funny moment between Digimon and a news reporter. Like they try to go for a laugh there, and it actually was kind of funny. So that moment succeeded. And that's it. That's about all I have to say about this film in terms of it actually being good. The bad. Most of the acting in this ranges from passable to just straight up bad. And easily the worst actor in the film is this long haired redneck boy. And I don't like to blame children for the performances they give. I blame the casting because people looked at this child's performance and said, "Yep, that's good. Put it in the movie." Because this kid never convincingly shows fear. This kid is like inches away from sharks, and you'd never know it from his face because he doesn't even try to look scared. Unsurprisingly, there's a lot of bad CGI in this, a lot of unconvincing environmental effects. The sharks never look like they're really there. There's like one shot in this where there's a shark just kind of moving towards the camera, and it legit looks like something out of Jaws 3D. The writing in this is bad. There's a lot of exposition in this. Like there's a scene where a character runs into the protagonist, like literally runs into her, and he just announces, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you since your mother died." It just let you know this person's mother died. And at one point, there's this pregnant girl who's driving through the hurricane. Her mother calls and she says, and like the conversation gets to her feeling bad about what she's doing at work. And she says, "You're not the one who should feel bad. He's the one who left his pregnant fiance for a professional poker player." Just to let you know, this woman's fiance is out of the picture. And there's a lot of really obvious foreshadowing. Again, during that phone call with the pregnant woman and her mother, the mother says, "Have you given any thought to giving birth in a bathtub like your sister, all surrounded by water?" It's like, gee, I wonder if that's going to go anywhere. There's a close up where there's at a meat packing plant and they're pumping like blood and chum into this truck. And it's like, gee, I wonder if that truck's gonna come into play later. One of the sons of the redneck mentions that he has aqua lung that lets him hold his breath for a really long time. Gee, I wonder if he's gonna use that aqua lung at some point later in the film. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of bad stuff in this film. I Those are the general notes I took on the film as a whole. I took a lot of notes literally as I was watching it to remind myself of all the stupid stuff that happens in this. So like yeah, the film opens and we get all this stock footage of just like birds flying around. There's one shot that's literally a stock footage of a kid playing in a puddle with a stock child sound effect over it. Even as the storm is like approaching, there's just a lot of stock footage of like hurricane weather. But then, despite showing all this extreme weather, whenever it does like a close up shot of a character, the weather looks incredibly calm. There's no wind, only light rain until all of a sudden there'll be these sudden gusts of wind because we need a character to be affected by the wind in this one shot. So we'll turn up the wind here. There's so many shots where you can see the sky. It looks sunny.
Tap
It
the
looks like a
present for a
pleasant
surprise.
day outside. And like all you can hear from and like the sky looks sunny, but it's supposed to be like in the middle of a category 5 hurricane. And there are shots where you can see the American flag and it's like the flag is barely even moving, so you can tell there's no actual wind. This is like the calmest category 5 hurricane I've ever seen in a movie or just in general. When they do the title drop where like it just shows on the screen Thrash, like just big text on the front of the screen. It says Thrash. It legit looks like one of those Adam West Batman sound effect panels. Just made me wish this was edited like Ang Lee's Hulk or something like that. I just wrote down the protagonist has an ugly kitchen. I think my mom commented that while we were watching, so I decided to write that down. Uh, the protagonist has an ugly kitchen. There you go, mom. The redneck dad, heck, the redneck mom in this are both kind of psychopaths. Like, they don't evacuate their kids before this Category 5 hurricane comes. They're just like, it's just a little rain. Everyone's overreacting. Literally, like, they have this giant freezer in the basement with a bunch of steak in it. And one of the kids comes down and is like, I'm hungry. He's like, the mom just like throws some bread at her. Like, there you go, eat that. And it's just like, how do these people get foster care? Because these aren't their biological kids. These are foster care kids. No idea how in the world they got custody. Doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. A big shock when the blood from the meat truck leaks into the water because it runs into a statue. And it doesn't just leak into the water. It like distributes like across the entire town because there's like water around. The water has flooded the entire town at this point. The blood doesn't dilute at all. Just immediately, second the blood touches the water, it's like the entire town's water now has blood in it to attract some sharks. And then when the guy inside of the meat truck, he hears someone shouting, "Shark! Shark!" He decides, "Oh, I gotta get out of here." So he opens the door to his truck and decides to get out. Why? Why would you leave? Just stay in your truck until the sharks leave or until someone comes. But no, tries to get out of his truck, and yeah, big shock. Second he leaves his truck, he gets eaten. Who could have seen that one coming? And then like later on, the redneck guy actually decides to evacuate. So he's like, I'm gonna get out of here. He tries to get into his truck, and like there's water just all around the truck. So he's like trying to get inside the truck, trying to lean into the truck and try and start it. The keys are not in the ignition in one shot, and then it cuts and a shark starts to eat him from behind. And then it just cuts back, and all of a sudden the keys are just in the ignition out of nowhere. We didn't see him put them in. He couldn't have put them in because he was getting eaten. It's literally just so we can have a gag where like some country music starts playing on the radio while he gets eaten. So the pregnant lady that I mentioned earlier, she ends up crashing her car into a tree outside of the protagonist's house, and the flood waters are rising, and the sharks are surrounding her. And she's like she just looks at this lady in the house like, please get me out of here. Please, please, please don't let me die. I'm sitting there like, you just saw 3 people get eaten by sharks, and you're looking at this lady who has like no real means of like doing anything about the sharks. She's like, please, please help me. It's like, I'm sorry, you're basically asking me to die to save you, when you're most likely gonna die if I die, because I'm gonna die if I come and help you. So she's basically just asking, you die with me, please. I don't want to die alone. Like, okay, you're really selfish, but don't worry. She does get to save her because this path perfectly lines up for this lady from the second story of her house to the car like it's an Uncharted game where she can just go hop, skip along on these things and gets the pregnant lady. But then even when she gets her out of the car, there's absolutely no way the pregnant lady would be able to do this path because I didn't mention that she's 9 months pregnant, like about ready to give birth. And she's like asking her to do this like insane cross cross the water in an Uncharted style platforming thing while you're 9 months pregnant. That's not gonna happen. Of course, the camera cuts before it actually shows how the pregnant lady crosses the water. So I guess you're supposed to assume she managed to like hop, skip around. At one point, multiple points in the film, characters are just able to close doors that are submerged or open doors that are submerged in water. Like the front door of the redneck's house has been burst open and water's just flooding into their house. But one of the characters is able to like lean across like the kitchen like not the cabinet, the kitchen area where you like prepare the food. She's able to lean from that to the door, grab the roof of top of the door, and then start to pull it closed. Like, I'm sorry, if there's like flood water from outside your house going into your house, you wouldn't be able to close the door like that. The force would not allow you to close the door like that. And characters are able to like open submerged fridges with no problem, or open car doors that are like half submerged in the water. I don't think this movie knows how physics works. At one point, the pregnant lady and the protagonist of the film are like sitting in the house of the protagonist, and the pregnant lady's like, if we're gonna stay here, we should like make a sign on the roof to let people know that we're here so they can rescue us. And the late protagonist is like, yeah, we should do that. I'm gonna get some bed sheets and make a sign. And I'm sitting here like, I'm sorry, if you're going to stay here, where else are you going to go exactly? None of you have cars. There are sharks all over the place, so you can't swim. She acts like, well, we can either stay or we can go. Where are you gonna go? You can't go anywhere. You're staying. Oh yeah, and of course, because you knew this had to happen, the pregnant lady starts giving birth during this whole thing. So when her contractions start, she asks the protagonist to like look at her vagina to see how dilated she is. And I'm like, wait, why are you doing this? I thought the whole point of the contractions is supposed to tell you how close the baby is, aren't they? But no, she's like, no, you gotta look and see how dilated I am to see when the baby's gonna come. And I'm just sitting there like, what, why, why is this happening? Oh, and no, and also she covers like the bottom half of herself with bed sheets, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna cover myself, but then I'm gonna lift the bed sheets up for you and spread my legs so that you can look. And I'm like, okay, why are you like covering yourself if you're gonna show this lady anyway? Nobody else is in the room with you, but yeah, she's doing it for the audience so we don't see it. But like in terms of the film in universe, why are you covering yourself? It doesn't make any sense. So Digimon, I guess I forgot to mention he's a marine biologist. That's his connection to everything. So Digimon is like trying to get to the place where the protagonist is because she's his niece, and he was like, I'm gonna take a boat. I'm gonna take this boat attached to our van, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna get her because because all the roads have been flooded. And apparently, when he decides to do this, they are currently 100 miles from the town the protagonist lives in. I'm like, hold on. Not only would your boat not have enough gas to go 100 miles because it's a little pontoon boat, the boat would also not be able to go through a Category 5 hurricane. I'm aware that this is apparently the world's calmest Category 5 hurricane, but like you should not be able to get through a Category 5 hurricane. And it's like as if that's not enough, he's like saying, we gotta go save her. The boat goes, I swear to gosh, like 10 miles an hour. Like they're barely moving. I'm like, you're 100 miles away. I'm sorry. How quick do you think you're going to get to her like this? And like they could go faster, but they just choose not to for no reason. And here we go. Earlier, you know how I said the redneck guy got eaten by a shark? Oh, that didn't happen, no. Because the guy we saw basically get eaten by a shark, turns out he was alive. He literally bursts out of the water like Superman or something and climbs on the kitchen counter and is like, I'm okay, I'm alive, don't worry. Oh, but he's not okay because he has one of his hands got chewed off, so there's like a little stump where his hand was. But other than that, he's fine. His leg got like practically bitten off by the shark, but he's fine. And he's like, oh, I was gonna come back for you. I was just getting the help so I could come back for you. It's like, literally, no, we don't believe him. The kids don't believe him either. But like, it's like he's like the most obvious liar in the world. Like when this character came back, I was just actively rooting for the kids to push him into the water and let the sharks kill him. That doesn't like that kind of happens because like he starts literally he starts literally trying to punch the eldest son because they won't leave and go get him help when there are sharks everywhere. But like yeah, so when he tries to punch the eldest son, the daughter goes ahead and kicks the dad in the head, so he falls in the water and gets eaten by a shark. Literally half his face gets bitten off. That was insane. Oh, and speaking of this redneck house, despite the protagonist house being completely submerged by water by the end of the movie, despite the entire town by the end of the movie being submerged by water, the redneck family's house is only like half flooded throughout the entire film. Like they only have like remember the protagonist house has 2 stories and it's completely underwater by the end. But this redneck family's house is only 1 story and it's like they can just sort of walk around. It's like basically treading through water that goes up to like your waist. It's fine. It's fine. You're fine. It's like no, what part of town is this where it's like so much less water? Oh, and at this point, I just wrote down that Digimon is like on the boat and he's like talking to his like guy in the chair. He's like, "How are we doing? Are we okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's okay. You're fine. You're in one of the calmer pockets of the hurricane." Um, Last time I checked, hurricanes don't have pockets, they just have the eye in the middle. Did you mean you're in the eye of the hurricane? Is that what you meant? Because there is no such thing as a calmer pocket of a hurricane. So when the pregnant lady starts giving birth, she asks the protagonist to go out and get this boat that they see sort of washed up in the water outside of her, like sort of across the street from her house. And I would just, again, like, she's aware that there are sharks out there. She is aware that this lady could get eaten very easily. But she's just like, oh, yeah, go do that, please. Go do that. I'm going to sit here and make you feel bad till you do it. And, like, again, I'm aware. I'm aware that she's in the process of giving birth. I'm aware that giving birth is not a fun thing to go through. But she does not try and help at all. She's like, yeah, go do this for me, please. Go help. Go do this. Go do everything while I just sit here. Like, again, aware she's giving birth, but she could do something. She could at least offer to do something other than just sit there and just give birth. Like, you could at least help in some way. So the protagonist has a plan. The protagonist puts this electric toothbrush in like a plastic shopping bag to distract the shark. And she like turns it on and puts it in outside her house. And she says like the vibrations of the electric toothbrush will trick the shark and make it think it's like a fish in distress. I know this because my uncle's a marine biologist. That's all well and good. My question is the bag staying afloat? Pretty sure that if you put an electric toothbrush in the water, it would just sink. But apparently, just putting in a plastic bag is enough to make it float. Sure, okay. It's around this point that I noticed the shark, like, because, like, yes, there are multiple sharks, but, like, we do kind of, there is, like, kind of one shark around the redneck family's house, and that shark just keeps changing sizes throughout the movie. Like, in some shots, it's about the size of the eldest son, in other shots, it's, like, the size of the redneck dad. In other shots, it's even bigger than the redneck dad. It is, like, incredibly inconsistent how big this shark is. So anyway, after the protagonist's house collapses because it got engulfed in the water, the pregnant lady's now just sort of floating in the water, hiding from the sharks. And then she's like, just literally looks down at one point, and then she just picks up her baby. Like apparently the baby just plopped right out of her in the water, and she's like, oh, look at that. It's out. Like, I'm sorry. I don't think pushing a baby out of you is that easy, even if you are engulfed in water. So yeah, the pregnant lady literally at this point in the film is like She puts like she has to cut her baby's umbilical cord, so obvious like that on top of the blood coming out of her attracts the sharks. So she puts the baby on like a floating box, and she's like, "Mom is just gonna go kill a shark now. I'll be right back." And she like grabs a plank of wood, and the shark's charging at her, and she just like gets the plank of wood, goes, swings it like a bat, and the shark goes, "Ah, I'm done." She basically kills a shark by swinging a plank of wood like a bat. Sure. But then there's this other shark that's going to come at her, and I guess her magic plank of wood isn't going to work anymore because she just holds the baby like, "Oh no, I'm going to die." Ah. But then it's okay because seconds before the shark can eat the pregnant lady, the protagonist shoots it with a harpoon gun. And it's like, this is reincorporation, because I forgot to mention this. Earlier in the film, the protagonist is watching home videos of her and her mom, and the mom was teaching her how to shoot. So of course she was going to shoot a shark by the end. We knew that. So here is that's the payoff. So the redneck kids are back at their house, and they find dynamite that their foster dad kept in his basement. So they decide they're going to blow the shark up with dynamite. Now, how are they going to do that, though? You think, oh, well, they just got to throw some of those steaks that was set up earlier into the water, and then after the sharks start eating the steak, throw some dynamite in there. No. What they do is they throw some steak in there, but they wrap lit dynamite around the steak and go, "Here you go, sharks, eat up." And it's like, I don't think the dynamite would stay lit if you just threw it in water. Also, how do we know the sharks are even going to eat that steak when the dynamite's around it? Oh, and literally twice in this scene, the eldest son, gets his sweater stuck on sharp objects. She's like trying to waddle through the water. He's like, oh no, my shirt's stuck. And neither time, it never occurs to him to take the shirt off. He's just like, oh no, what am I going to do? And he has to rely on one of the other kids to like free him before the shark can get him. This kid's stupid. And then, so we're cutting back to the protagonist and the pregnant girl. Don't worry about them, because Digimon's boat comes just in the nick of time to save the day, just as some sharks knock over the protagonist and pregnant girl's boat, so they're in the water now, like, oh no, what do we do? Don't worry, girls, Digimon's here to save the day. So he like turns on a taser that he got from a SWAT car earlier, tosses it into the water, and shocks the sharks that are near where he threw the taser. It's like, last time I checked, water is a pretty good electric current. So if you threw, again, I know it's massive flood waters, but I feel like even in massive flood waters, if you threw something electric like that into the water, it would shock everything in a certain radius, not just these sharks that are like right next to the taser. Like the two girls should have also gotten shocked, but whatever, I guess. And then finally, the last shark is like coming up. It's gonna eat the protagonist and the pregnant girl as they're trying to get on Digimon's boat. Oh no, they're doomed. But don't worry, because then this shark comes out of nowhere and just gobbles up the other shark that's trying to eat our heroes. It just goes, bites it in the neck, kills it, and just goes, "Grrr." And the reason why that's funny is because earlier in the film, they established that this shark, the Digimon was like, there's this one shark we've been following for 3 years, and it's pregnant. Already I was thinking, oh my gosh, is this shark going to give birth at the same time the pregnant lady is giving birth? That doesn't happen, sadly, but my mom had a funny thought. Is this pregnant shark going to protect the pregnant girl because it's like, ooh, the mom's protecting the mom, nature is beautiful, oh my gosh. And so when this happened, like, it's never properly explained why the shark saves them, so we all kind of assumed, oh, it's because pregnant shark recognized the pregnant girl, oh my gosh, it's protecting the mom, aw. It was ridiculous. So the movie's ending, everyone's all happy, the redneck kid's getting this car that I was souped up to drive through water, and Digimon is boating away with the pregnant girl and the protagonist. But oh no, all is not well in the world of Thrash, because they sequel bait. Yes, they think they're getting a sequel because the guy in the chair from earlier is looking at his monitors and just popping up out of nowhere There's a second hurricane about to make landfall. Again, to my knowledge, I do not think hurricanes just pop up out of nowhere just to attack, just like a herd of aliens about to attack, but it's coming and they're in trouble, and then the credits start rolling, and that second Thrash is never going to happen because this is not getting a sequel because this was bad. It was fun. I definitely had fun laughing at this. It was pretty entertaining if you get some friends together and just have a laugh. If you like actually want to see an actual natural disaster shark attack movie that's actually good, this ain't for you. And I'm gonna give Thrash an F. Kind of have to, just even though it was entertaining, it was still very bad. So that's my little ramble rant on Thrash. It was not good. If you've seen it, be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to see more reviews like this in the future. And on that note, I will see you next time. Have a great day.